make them comfortable. People are free to ask questions, and we in fact invite professionals from different parts of the world who are TRIZ professionals to speak about their experiences about TRIZ. And today, for the chapter 9, we have Mr. Horst. He is a TRIZ level 3 professional, and he's also a co-founder of the European TRIZ campus. He's also a co-founder of TRIZ Academia. And Host is a level 3 professional, as I mentioned, and he is an FEA engineer and a passionate TRIZ user. Supports a lot of teams over 19 plus years experience in innovation and problem solving. He's a fan of agile workflow. And one thing which I like the most in his profile, which he has mentioned in very short terms, is he gets excited when teams work out innovative solutions faster and more goal oriented with the support of TRIZ. So now let's hear from Host what he has to say all about himself. And lastly, but not the least, he loves to sketch. So I don't know what he's going to show about sketching today. So over to you, Host.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm so honored to be invited to this Trees Talks, and yeah, I'm a little bit starstruck because you have such an active and wonderful trees community. I reckon over the last years, I always heard of you and watched your activities, and we met at trees conferences. So very excited to be here and talk about trees and yeah, get into exchange. I heard it's an informal session. I'm very comfortable with this, so I hope we just can talk and chat and have some exciting things to share. Well, PV already mentioned I'm a mechanical engineer. That's my background. I specialized on finite element analysis and simulation. So that's what I do as a freelancer since 20 years now this year. And fairly early in my career, still at university, I stumbled across trees. Um, and it's really, I did not plan this. Our professor at the university back then, in the year 2000, around 2000 it was, he was always interested in design methods and design methodologies and what you could do to get ideas and to work systematically. And he was interested in quality function deployment, FMEA, and everything that goes in this direction. And one day he stumbled across trees and he uh, actually gave a colleague of mine who was sitting next to me the assignment, well, find out what is trees, what is this, what can we do with it? And then my colleague started researching and always telling me about trees. And first I was, leave me alone. I'm doing my finite element analysis stuff here. I don't want to hear about ideas and such. But fairly quickly I realized, well, this sounds really interesting, and I got the bug as well. And then yeah, we started to dig into trees, and even when our professor was okay, now I know what is trees and all fine, and yeah, I will tell something in my lectures about it. My colleague and I still could not leave it alone. We launched a website with German language information about trees, which was not available at that time. And I also decided to do my second diploma, which is comparable to a master nowadays with trees, with a company, and try trees with actual in an actual project and get some experience. What can we do with trees? And it was exciting. It was great results. It was fun. We had very enthusiastic group back then, and well, it stuck with me. I started as a freelancer in 2002, and of course, finite element analysis, structural analysis is a big part of my work day. However, trees never left me. Trees is a continuous and stable part of my life, and it's still fun. We do a lot of not a lot of, but quite stable amount of workshops and trainings. Accredited, we are accredited trainers. And when I say we, I'm talking about Barbara Grona, which might be you might have heard her name. She's a Matrix Level 4 specialist, and we launched this TRIZ Academy in English, in 2010, and this is our offer for trainings and workshops regarding trees. So it's more like a trademark. It's not a company, so it's our website, and so we are doing everything trees under this name. Yeah, this is how it started.
Okay.
Let me ask something about you. What about the audience? Who does know trees? Who started to use trees? Has learned trees? Can you raise your hands? There is a
Yep, there is
virtual
a platform to
hand.
raise a virtual
Let me
hand.
see. Let me see who of you knows trees already. Only two? I cannot believe that. Ah, now they come. Great, great, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Even more wonderful. That's great. So we have a lot of participants who also heard of trees, using trees, tree specialists, trees users, trees learners. That's exciting. Wonderful. Yeah, and some newcomers to trees. I don't know what the flow is, but what would be interesting for you to know? What should we talk about? Should we talk about, yeah,
Probably
what
you can start about your journey. How did you get exposed to trees? Of course, you
mm,
mentioned very brief about how you got exposed to trees.
yeah,
Uh, but then how exactly trees has played a role in your life? Like
yes,
how was your problem solving technique before and after trees? Because that's very interesting. You know, you can compare your
yes.
before and after journey.
That's true. Before is just the time at the university. I was just a student back then. So I think, but this is something I realized over the time, when we are working with engineers and people who are new to trees, who want to learn trees and who want to use trees. Um, Changes the way you look at problems. At least I realized that later. As a student, and even when I finished my studies and I had my diploma, it's somehow the feeling, or we got trained to answer questions. We studied a lot, and we think, or I thought I had all the knowledge. Let me talk about myself. I thought I had all the knowledge I need, and if I'm presented a problem, engineering problem, whatever, I have to know the answer. This is what I studied for. This is what I got all the lectures. But of course, someday you realize that this is not the case. However, this feeling was there. I need to know the answer. So every time a tough problem is was presented to me, I really got uncomfortable because I didn't know an answer straight away. So it's brainstorming. It started to, yeah, maybe this direction, that direction, trial and error. I was not working systematically, and this is what completely changed with trees. That it gave me confidence, um, even or especially for problems that we have no answers. These are actually the inventive problems that we are supposed to solve and hopefully come up with innovations. Um, so I'm very relaxed now. When there is a problem, I know I have a toolbox, the best toolbox in the world for problems that have no answer yet, that have no solution yet, or even with problems where we see, well, the solution is not quite good. It's contradictions all over the place, and we can work on these problems. And we can systematically go step by step. So this is the main aspect for me, that yeah, it gives me confidence in areas where there is fuzzy situations and you don't know what to do. So it took away anxiety for myself when there are problems that really are tough.
Okay. I will request participants if you can just unmute and definitely ask the question, but I'll read out a question which has come out from Jyoti Jai. It says, can you please tell the applications of TRIZ?
Again?
Can you please tell the applications of TRIZ?
The applications of trees. Okay. Um, that's a good question. Thank you. Well, first of all, engineering problems. Okay. But then um, I was working with trees with so many people all across different areas, social area, even in arts and culture. Um, I would say if you look at the concepts that trees has, it's everywhere where you have these inventive situations, and so of course it comes from engineering area and nuts and bolts problems. However, electronics is a field where it's of course used, and even software development. So I really see no actual boundaries. Of course, the language of trees, if you look into principles and standard solutions and all these special terms, they really sound like 70s from engineering from the 70s. Yeah, it's a little bit a critique of the wording, but if you move beyond that, if you are able to look beyond this actual words and you see the concept of trees, you can apply it to your daily life even, or to any field you like, non-technical, technical, uh, immaterial, material problems. So I do not see any boundaries for that.
Yep, wonderful answer, host. In fact, yeah, even my experience goes the same. In fact, this can be applied for any part, like your professional field as well as your personal field. In fact, the best examples to keep working on trees is the kitchen appliances. Just take them and start working on them. Okay, Joseph, you have a question? Try to
Am I
keep it try to
audible
keep
to
it short.
everyone?
Joseph, try to keep it short.
Okay. I'm the only green TRIZ master self-learned and self-certified in the world. Mr. Host, I have a question to you. Have you heard of ethnography by USA? Shadow of German SAP? Gemba visit of Japan, part of the quality function deployment? Observation from the Vedic Indian science. Ethnography is something like this. Suppose you are a designer of a washing machine. So you go and observe the people using it and come back to your design table and modify the washing machine.
Yeah.
I would like to know what is the equivalent of these terms in Russian classic or advanced TRIZ. It can be either from Russian classic by Gendris Altschuler or even advanced or TRIZ master has added lot of tool, integrated lot of things with the TRIZ. I am watching TRIZ from 2003. In fact,
Mm.
I literally fell in love with the TRIZ in 2003. TRIZ is like a second wife for me. Of course, I have got one physical wife, healthy and steady, but TRIZ is my second wife.
Yeah,
If you don't have an answer to this question, you can send me an email. Resolver, Zolver, ZOLVR 85 at the rate of resolver.in. I have
yeah, I see it in the chat. Thank you very
to
much.
chat.
Thank you. But this question touches a very good topic. Uh, as far as I'm aware, I do not think trees has an equivalent. Um, trees has its fields, but I think there are other methods and other tools and other approaches that have different ideas and complementary ideas. So I think, for example, the Gemba visit, or also the design thinking, you watch people using products or services or whatever, and you take you take your impressions and work on that. This is something that can be very, very well connected to trees. I don't see an equivalent, and maybe that doesn't need to be equivalent. I think we should see trees as a part of a landscape of methodologies and approaches, and I think there are very beautiful connections and interconnections and things that you can use across these methodologies and combine. And for example, what you mentioned is a very, very important, and not to stop there, but then combine, go into trees, use trees tools to dig deeper into the reasons why people behave like they do, why they do what they do, if you observe something. And this is why also the voice of the customer only goes that far, and maybe trees helps us, coming from the voice of the product, going a little bit further and combining them and looking beyond the things we could see.
Yeah, wonderful answer, Horst. You just touched upon something called as voice of the customer and the voice of the product, because there are people who have or have heard about this in the past. So can you just throw some light on something on voice of the product and voice of the customer? How are they different and how important is that?
Mm. Voice of the customer, yeah. Um, you know, it's a classical approach. You have several approaches there from QFD, like Joseph mentioned already, and yeah, voice of the customer. You do customer surveys and you watch customers when they do something with your product. You ask them questions. You prepare questionnaires. You have the lead user approach where you take the most professional users of your product and you work with them to find new ways or to find some points to move on and to improve your product or service. Um, and as I mentioned, this only gets you so far. You can only get what the customer says or does and what you observe. Um, this is the voice of the customer. Yeah, it's something that brings you a certain way and might lead to very wonderful insights and very good insights. However, trees comes from the system side. I don't know. I do not want to say product only. It's product, service, whatever. For me, it goes beyond just physical products. It's um, it's the yeah, for me, let's say trees for me is um, the how to say, the assessment or the exploration of how systems evolve in the
Hmm.
future, and looking at the past, how did they evolve in the past, and how will they evolve in the future. And so this lets us a little bit look into the future independently from customers, independently from people, from trends, from I don't know, from some sort of fashion things that might happen, um, and lets us more objectively look into systems and how they evolve, and make us foresee. Um, yeah, of course, this is not like looking into the future and knowing what will happen. However, we get so many good directions from that to go beyond what customers now or might do in the future, even go a step further and see how systems evolve in the future. So this is the voice of the product, the trend of engineering system evolution and ideality, all that touches into trying to find out where is the direction, what are the tracks into the future, and let us choose in combination with the voice of the customer and what we have from this side to find the connection between both, and maybe go
Hmm.
beyond what customer says and offer them something surprising.
Great. So in short, to summarize what you said, VOC is interviewing the customer and VOP, that is voice of the product, is interviewing the product. Ask the
Yeah,
product what
wonderful.
what are you going to deliver, or what are you capable of delivering. Okay, wonderful answer, host. And there's a question again raised coming from Ashwant on the chat box, which says, which TRIZ tools are helpful for automotive R&D?
For automotive R&D, all. I know this is not a very very good answer. However, yeah, of course, if you want to start and in R&D, it doesn't matter if it's automotive or not. I think you might have research topics where you hit blocks. Yeah, you want to do something, we want to improve something, and then of course, yeah, there are negative side effects. So maybe to start with, the one of the hard tools, one of the core tools of TRIZ, the contradiction analysis, is certainly helpful also in automotive R&D. So this is maybe something to look into further. However, there are no TRIZ tools that are specifically good for this type of or this field of engineering or that field of engineering, because it's 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 for evolution of systems in general, you know. So but maybe contradictions is a very good topic to start with.
Just to add on to here, basically TRIZ is basically a framework, just like it's a formula in layman's language. It's basically, you can compare it with a formula, probably I can say. Just like you have formulas
Well,
for mathematics,
our relationship with them. Understood?
and the
He's,
mathematics
he's
can
stating
be.
that he's stating that it's not I am whom spoiling the relationship between the son and the parents. Son and doesn't like the parents at all. You should know that. If you don't know that, he's written that.
Suresh, I think you can mute
Oh,
yourself. Okay. So what I was saying was, what I was saying was, it's just like a formula, just like mathematics has got formulas, and you apply mathematics in business sectors, you apply mathematics in technical sectors. Similarly, TRIZ is also basically a framework, so it can be applied in any engineering domain, like systems. It can be applied to any systems. So put it that way. So there are no specific tools which are mentioned specifically for any industry as such. I hope that could we could answer the question, Ashwin, for you. Okay, and going ahead, there's a raised hand from Harsha. Harsha, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you, Narayan. Hello, host. Guten Tag.
Hello.
Can you hear me, host?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Guten
Hi.
Tag, I said.
Oh, wonderful. I cannot
Familiar
reply
words.
in Indian, so I'm flattered. Thank you.
Yeah. My question, as I understand that you are practicing trees almost from 2000, right? Or 2001, if I heard
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah.
So there were certain events which all of us have witnessed, like 2008 financial crisis. Also, somewhere in 2001, there was a euro currency which came into picture, by diluting all the European separate currencies like lira and mark and so on. So, particularly with reference to such environment, whether you were approached or whether you could experience certain problems and the problem solving by using the trees.
Mhm.
If you can memorize just as a quick example.
Do you think in terms of these more global or more political
No.
crisis,
It is global.
or
I mean, it is global. However, the suppose we take the example of 2001 and euro currency coming into picture. So naturally, all the entities or enterprises in European zone, okay, which converted their currency from their existing currency to euro, they must have had certain problems. And whether any of such any examples, if you have encountered, which help where the trees help them to regularize their transactions, understanding, if you can recollect.
I don't think they used any trees during this time to solve some problems, and I think it was more the solutions were, if I remember correctly, more on the, well, let's put more money out, or let's it was, I think it was not necessarily innovative solutions. It was no paradigm shift, I guess. But I'm sure they do not know about trees, and they did not apply trees to that problems.
Okay.
That was a very specific question from Harsha, your side. Very, very specific. Okay.
Thank you.
Host, probably, Harsha, probably, if you have an answer for this, probably during the next session when we call you, probably you can get an answer for us for this. Okay.
Yeah.
Going ahead, there's
Yes,
one
so
more
Thank you,
question
Narendra,
Horst.
from,
Thank you,
I
Narendra.
have a
yeah.
comment.
Joseph, I'll come back to you. Joseph, I'll come
Okay,
back.
sure.
I see your
Shall
hand
I
raised, so I'll come back to you.
unmute or mute?
And you keep yourself muted, I'll call your name. Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
there's one more question coming from Jyoti Jay. It says, is it possible to predict the future using 9-window analysis, TRIZ methodology?
It's not possible to predict the future with using 9 windows analysis, but you can use it to plan your future activities more specifically. What I always say is, why predicting the future? You can observe what is happening around you and what might happen in the future. And this is one application of the 9 window scheme, to observe the super system and to observe the technologies, the subsystems, and then make your plan and draw your decisions from these observations and from these predictions or estimations to have a better base for your decision what you will do with your system in the future. So yes, you can use it, definitely. We use it very much, and we really love the 9 window scheme to get the knowledge out of people's heads onto a board and have everyone look at it and make decisions based on what they put on the board from their knowledge. So it's a wonderful tool for that. Yeah.
Great, great. And a follow-up question from the same person. Thanks for touching the contradiction analysis. Actually, can you please add your suggestions related to mapping the specific solutions using TRIZ?
Maybe I have to ask, what do you mean with
Yeah,
mapping?
even
Mapping
I did not
specific?
get the question correctly. Probably you can unmute and ask the question, Jyoti. Possible?
That is possible. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, actually, he talks about contradiction analysis that is used for predicting the solutions, providing innovative solutions.
Uh-huh.
And I'm asking how we can map the specific solutions from that.
The way from the principles to the specific solutions? Is
Yeah,
that the question? How you come from? Yeah,
it's,
that is a very good question. How to come from the abstract directions you get from the principles, for example, or the suggestions from trees to the specific solutions. Well, there is actually no single way to do that. Of course, first of all, it's the creativity of the people. So this is the creative process, or for a large part, a creative process that takes time and fantasy and being relaxed, and maybe the time to let go this tough problem that you're working on, and keeping those principles in mind and really write down everything that goes through your mind when you think about those principles, for example. So this is a very tough phase in problem solving, I think, because it's so much still based on individual creativity. However, we regularly observe that through these principles, people are pushed in certain directions they never imagined before, and then if you let them explore these directions and let them speak freely, you gather these ideas, and then you have the tough question or tough situation to find out which ideas or which combination of ideas then would be a good concept, or maybe several concepts based on these ideas. However, there is not one single answer or one direct mapping from the principles to the solution. It's tough. But what are your experience? That would be really interesting. What your experiences are.
Jyoti, anybody would like to go take this answer further?
Or maybe
Yes,
Yep.
Hello.
I'm interested in this methodology. I'm not having more experience in this. I'm having 6 to 8 months of R&D research experience in this methodology.
Okay.
okay,
So
thank you.
probably, yeah. So probably, yes, Jyoti, we will reach out to you, or rather, you can reach out to us for more information on TRIZ, that's for sure. And I heard some other gentlemen wanted to speak something. So if you can just unmute and carry forward this answer.
Yeah,
Sure.
this is Ashwan.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. To obtain specific solution, we need to go for the general solution. I hope this is the right thing. After we are proceeding to a specific solution, we need to ensure that it is possible or not. If not possible, yeah, host was right, because we need to go to multi-dimensional thinking to ensure that the extracting specific solution to be the apt thing for our problem. Is this right, host?
Yes.
Yeah. I hope so. In my case, I have handled around 1 or 2 projects on that. I have a mild doubt on that. By taking the specific solution from my side, it should be an applicable thing, and it should be a right decision to go for that problem. So I have my doubt on that. How can we ensure that our specific solution will be appropriate for our problem? How can we ensure that?
You, if I can rephrase your question, you mean to say that you started with a problem, you started working on the problem, you generalized the problem, you got a generalized
Yeah,
solution, and you got a generalized,
solution.
from the generalized solution went into a specific solution. How can
Yeah,
you ensure that the solution is applicable or not?
yeah. It can be possible or not. Sometimes
That,
it redirects to our problem. And so we need to go on, stick on to our problem. We need to go on to that. I'm asking about that. How can we ensure that our specific solution will be the right solution for this for the given specific problem?
I think yeah, you need of course expertise from experts, from subject matter experts, and maybe if you thinking about solutions that are outside of your company's field of knowledge, that might happen if you have a mechanical engineering company and suddenly you are thinking about artificial intelligence and software and algorithms. You don't have that expertise in your field. You might have great ideas, but you need the subject matter experts in these fields, or even well, sometimes this is where the work really, or the usual engineering work really starts, because I was thinking about, I don't know if you heard about the example from the company Wittgenstein from Germany. They reinvented gearbox, and they had a paradigm shift in this field, and I think the traditional gearbox specialists were thinking, well, you inventors are really crazy because it was never seen before. But they persisted, they did experiments, they went into the lab, they honed this, they went to universities, and maybe if you have an innovation on that level, you need the time to explore your solutions. If you of course, you need to evaluate and not give up too early. You have to give solutions a chance, because traditional subject matter experts, they may have their psychological inertia, and this is where the work starts. It's a tough thing. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, host. And just to add
Thank
on
you,
to,
Horst.
yeah, just to add one more question to this, what do you say, the generic question, generic problem to a specific problem, that the journey which you carry forward. How long did it take you to be very, what do you say, expertise in this particular field? Because it's not very easy. Because so jumping from a specific problem to a generalized problem and from a generalized solution to a specific solution, it's not very easy because TRIZ gives you directions which are very abstract. So, because the principles are very abstract. So how long did it take for you to develop that expertise?
To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on the journey
Yeah.
all the time. I mean, of course, you have this threshold when you begin to learn trees. You see these abstract terms and you think, what do they want from me? What does segmentation mean? What does strong oxidants mean, or mono bipoly systems, whatever? You need to get used to this terminology and to fill it with life.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe for me it took to start to fill it with life. It took I would say at least 2 years minimum.
Yeah.
One to 2 years. Well, it's a slow process. You look at examples, you read case studies, you have collections of examples. We did our own collections for the principles and so on. But each time I'm amazed what ideas are sparked by these abstract terms when you present them to engineers, to people who never saw them before. Some are very quick in taking these abstract things and making something distinct out of them, something concrete. Some need more time. So
True, true. I agree because we still are in the learning curve, because and every time we work on a problem, we get these principles, something new strikes. And it's very, what do you say, not very fair to say that we have experienced the knack of converting it to a solution, the abstract knowledge. So it's a process, it's a journey, it keeps continuing. Okay.
and you always discover new aspects of these abstract terms because
Absolutely.
they if you think about it, they cover so much engineering history and systems development history. Yeah, Derriman still has his research about patterns, and there still is no additional principle, for example, if you just concentrate on the principles that is necessary to describe solutions that are found today and that are patented today. This is amazing. I mean, we have such a huge amount of knowledge in these abstract terms. I think it never ceases to amaze me what is possible.
True. And people, because I also see people who are already exposed to TRIZ. So a question from my side: out of the two contradictions, that is engineering contradictions, that's technical contradictions, and physical contradictions, which fascinates you and why?
um, Of course, at first it was engineering contradictions, but since some years I'm more and more drawn to physical contradictions. But I never saw a fight between them because they always come hand in hand. And
Yes.
when we work at projects, we always go both ways. But personally, I'm starting more and more with physical contradictions.
And why?
Because they have or a practical reason at first. You only have, let's say, 4 separation principles and 2 possibilities to go further. Let's put it that way. So you have 6 solution strategies to memorize. Is much less than 40. However, also physical contradictions have a little bit higher flight level, a higher
Right.
view on a topic, more to the core sometimes. However, it's not very much separable. You always think you have this if then but, and in the if term you always have the physical contradiction. So it comes hand in hand. And but
Right.
solution wise, I go to the separation principles first, and then
Yeah, so I echo your thoughts, and we also have the same experience. Like Okay, so any question more coming from the audience over here? And Jyoti says exactly you are right. Okay, so she's satisfied with the answers which probably she's received from your end. In fact, I see a chat from Mr. Ahmed also. It says good answer because it depends on the problem itself. That's probably for the earlier question. And Joseph has a comment. Technical knowledge is simple with contradiction matrix. Physical contradictions is to be solved using time space. Yeah, that's what we spoke about. Okay.
Yes.
Anything? Any more questions coming from the team over here? How can we approach TRIZ, or how what are the anything coming from the audience who are new to TRIZ basically? Because we spoke something about technicality over here. So people who are new to TRIZ, in case they have any questions. Mm, okay, if no, probably I will ask one question from my side to start off. Do you think a person who is not at all creative, probably like me, not at all creative, can TRIZ make that person creative?
It can make the person more creative than he is now. I don't know if this answer satisfies you, but I would like to, if you can see my video, I would like to
Okay.
actually draw something now, because this is something that was really eye-opening for me when I started with TRIZ, and it comes from Sergei Ikovenko.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you heard the name.
Yep.
If you have a graph that represents the, let's say, creativity on this axis and the number of people, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you surely get a bell curve, yeah.
Yep.
You have a certain median creativity, and a lot of people are there. You have very few people who are not creative at all. You have very few people who are very, very creative. And now Sergey once showed us this and said, well, think like this. What TRIZ does is shifting this median. So you get a new curve. Yeah? Still, these people who are less creative, they might not be very much in the high field, but they move their creativity from here to here. And the medium people, the people with medium creativity, they also get a shift. And also these people who are very creative, they are even more creative then. So it adds to the creativity of everybody. It can add to the creativity of everybody. It makes you more creative, and maybe, but this is a thing that could be a study topic or a research topic to measure something like this and the effect of TRIZ. I think the Lily Gett was doing some research in this field, but it's more like psychology, I guess.
Okay. Okay. And I also understand in Germany and few parts of Europe, TRIZ is also taught in universities and schools. So do you think it's a right move? It should be practiced across the globe?
Yes.
Okay.
As early as possible, I think, because it changes the way you look at problems, and it gives you confidence working with tough problems. And I think what I do with workshops with engineers is firefighting.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And are you also involved in teaching students of engineering domain for TRIZ?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
fantastic,
yes.
fantastic, fantastic. So, okay, so somebody says great graphical explanation, host. Thanks. Okay, yeah, of course it was a
You're
wonderful
welcome.
explanation, of course.
Thank you.
Any more questions coming from the people who are novice to TRIZ, or any technical questions coming in?
One question from my side.
Right.
Host, can you give some words on patent circumvention, and have you done any patent circumvention projects? Can you brief process of it?
I personally have done not so many projects with patent circumvention, uh, and I can only repeat what is written in papers. A good way to start with it is model the patent you want to circumvent with function analysis, and then yeah, then start trimming There might be other ways, sometimes even going through the legal system, but from the engineering side, this would be my preferred starting point. Look at the patent, model it according to the suggestions that are there, and of course you have to move from these rules from function analysis that we have in TRIZ, these strict rules, a little bit further, and incorporate virtual components and so on to reflect the pattern. But I'm sure that the TRIZ Association of Asia and PV has a lot of information on that.
Yeah, so we have worked on multiple projects for patent circumventions. Of course, yes, and as you rightly said, it starts from function analysis, and of course, there are steps and processes how we proceed further. Yes, so if you want to know more, probably you can either contact host or you can contact us, and we will be glad to give you more information on that. Okay, there's one more question coming from Anthony, which says he's novice to TRIZ, and it's a very, very good question. How do we start?
Take a good training. I know it takes time, it costs money. If you do not have a free training opportunity, but take a good training. With that, I mean something that is based on a, let's say, global understanding of TRIZ. So Matriz and Matriz Official is a very good good quality aspect to look for. And then if you did this, listen to a lot of people who use TRIZ and listen to a lot of other trainers as well, and start expanding your TRIZ universe. But first of all, have a good base. Have a good base and have a good grasp on the basic topics of TRIZ with a good training.
Yep, I agree to you, host over here. Your first step to enter into the TRIZ family, you have to select the best trainer because it's something completely new for you. If you do not have funds right now, wait for the right opportunity, gather funds, and then start your journey. Because if you go with any person who is probably not that experienced, he might probably try to do justice from his side, but if you're not happy, you will find that, oh, TRIZ doesn't work for me. And then end of the day, the conclusion will be it is not my cup of tea. So let that not happen. So choose the right a trainer and then probably start your journey on TRIZ. And we strongly recommend don't try to read books on TRIZ before you actually officially undergo a training on TRIZ. Because I'm sure host will agree to this because TRIZ is an abstract knowledge and you need to understand that abstract knowledge and try to apply it. So before starting reading to books, you need to get formally trained. Okay, there's one more question coming from Suresh. It says, can TRIZ be applied to newer domains like artificial intelligence, data sciences, and machine learning?
Of course. I say this with high confidence because this week the European TRIZ Association had their annual conference. It was on the topic of AI and IT and so on. And yes, it should.
Okay, good. There was this short answer. And this again question coming from Jyoti Jai. It says, is function analysis and contradiction matrix enough for circumventing the patent? In your experience, can you tell us more frequently used TRIZ tools for circumvention?
If I should add to this list function analysis, contradiction matrix, and before contradiction matrix, usually trimming.
Trimming.
Well, I don't know if it's enough. Of course, you need to give all of your brain into this process and follow the process. PV, what is your take?
Yeah, of course we use some other tools also, but that's but function analysis, trimming, and contradiction metrics, yeah, these are probably the tools mandatory definitely we need to use for trimming. I
One
will
thing
not put contradiction metrics also, function analysis and trimming for sure.
One thing that came across my mind just now is the database of scientific effects.
Yes.
This can be a good thing if you're not afraid to do basic research, because effect means new technologies, and you have to maybe yeah, maybe dig deeper in this field and do more R&D. But database of scientific effects is I think a great tool if you want to go the way of using something completely different than the competitor does to achieve the same function.
Absolutely. I hope we could answer your question, Jyoti. And there's one more question from Suresh. How do you keep yourself updated?
Global TRIZ community, like talks like this is always gives so much input and knowledge, and also conferences for sure. The TRIZ network around the globe, papers, also books. Sometimes, there are a lot of books that repeat the classical TRIZ terms over and over. However, the examples that are used in different books always give certain new aspects. So this is the way to go. Of course, through the internet and online conferences, the exchange is very good.
Okay. And a follow-up question from him is, which journals publish these papers? I
Well, I think of course you always can present in associations like ITRIA, the European Trees Association, because they are very going very scientific and academic way, and they publish, for example, with the Springer Verlag, they publish books. However, like what is it, ResearchGate and all these more open publishing platforms, you can publish there. And of course, these platforms are not specific on trees, but they have a lot of papers on trees. And yeah, Leonard, the Chechurin, I think you mean, Joseph, on YouTube is a good source, yeah, for
Yep.
keeping updated. Yeah, there are a lot of sources, but publishing papers, I think, from my point of view, Atria is a good network to go that way. But also all these open platforms where you can issue your research papers and make them public is also very good, like ResearchGate. I don't know, PVA, do you have any?
Springer is there. I could recent. TRIZ Journal is
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
magazine wherein TRIZ Journal. So
Oh,
that's one of the
sorry to
magazine.
interrupt you. This channel is hanging. It is taken over by somebody else. From Darrell Man is not no more.
I know, but it's still
Yeah.
it's reviving now. But there's one. There are a lot of good papers in TRIZ Journal. You can
I
go through
think
them.
some Six Sigma or somebody has taken over that one.
Yes, BMGI has taken over it.
That
You
website
can
is gone. Okay,
yeah.
we can regain the website.
You can
Yeah,
find it. You can
Point
find it
was
at a new
quality.
domain. You can find it at a new
new
domain.
domain.
Deraman published it under a new domain. All the old articles from back to, I think, 99 or something, under the-treesjournal.com. I put the
Okay.
link in the chat.
Okay. And
Very good
immediately I
source.
can recollect something because I think yesterday we completed the TRIZCon 2022 Atria, right? And I think the papers are published in Springer. So in case
Yes.
anybody is interested, you can visit Springer and you can probably, it's a paid publication, so you can get all the papers from Springer. And I think there were good presentations, TRIZ in AI, artificial intelligence, and there were some good papers which were presented. So in case anybody is interested, you may just visit Springer. Okay, this question coming from Manoj. Can you suggest some books which is having some examples of practical application?
Practical application. I can highly recommend the level 1 book. I have read the name Malgorzata. Is it Malgorzata from Poland? She was involved with this book. Practical application. There are very good case studies in this book, and very good examples for the concepts used. In most books, well, every book has good case studies, and yeah, if you're interested in software, there's from Joseph the recommendation of the Systematic Software Innovation book by Darrell Mann. I would look, if you're looking for really examples and case studies, I would look for papers from conferences. A lot of mattress or let's say mattress conferences in the past had lots of case studies and practical applications, and you sometimes can find them online. This would be a very good source. But if you're looking for a book, let's see. Let's definitely look into the level 1 book. I cannot read from this distance the name of the book, but maybe Margosata, you can help out in the chat.
Yeah, if Margosata, if you're available, if you know the book's name.
Let's have a look.
1 second,
Yeah,
please.
let me
Okay,
see.
she's taking some
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Okay, no problem, no problem. We are over here. And in the meanwhile, there's one more question. We can quickly take that question. Can we use TRIZ in customer behavior analysis?
Customer behavior analysis. What do you want in this field? What do you want to do in this field?
If Ravinder, if you can unmute yourself and be more specific. I think Ravinder is not there. So probably if you can, Horst, give a quick generic answer for this.
I think customer behavior can give you tasks to solve with TRIZ. And maybe you can develop some ways to go in customer behavior analysis. I'm not sure.
It's just like the soft side of the human behavior. Probably the customer behavior analysis. Okay, we need to know something specific. Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep this question.
It sounds more like psychological
Yeah,
things
we need to be more specific in the question. So let this question be parked in case probably if he reaches out to me, I can direct it to him.
Yes.
Okay, so we have last 3 minutes to go, Host over here. So a quick question from my side. Out of the entire toolkit of TRIZ, which are the top 3 tools which you generally use?
Which I
And how has it
generally
helped?
use.
And how has it
Okay.
helped you?
Okay. Let me think for a second. General use, not personal, but general use. Definitely the nine windows approach. We nearly all the time, and if you like to call it a TRIZ tool, the Innovation Situation Questionnaire by Ideation International. But this is just, I would say, before you start with TRIZ, you should do this Innovation Situation Questionnaire to find out what the topic is. But 9 windows, definitely contradictions, technical and physical.
Okay.
Then it is tough to decide which one because it depends on what you want to do. S-curve analysis, or maybe if you're more like problem solving, it's definitely the substance field analysis on rank 3. I would say, but definitely there are so much aspects that there might be we customize each workshop for each topic for each project, so it's tough to say, but we frequently 9 windows and contradictions are always there. I think ideality would be would be something that is also always there, so maybe before substance field analysis or anything else, ideality, yeah, of course.
Great. So I think you use pretty good tools for TRIZ. In fact, it's a spread across canvas which you have.
Yeah, it's hard to decide, and it depends
Yeah.
on the project and the task you have.
Right. Okay. So I think it's almost just 1 minute left. So I think I should take this minute to thank you. And it was wonderful having you.
I have some comments, Mr. Narayanan.
Yes, Joseph. Very short, Joseph.
Yeah, very short. Voice of customer or VOC originated from quality function deployment. Where has come, Gemba visit has come. Go to where the action is there. And next in the QFT is the mind of customer, MOC. Somebody raised a point, 9 window, can we predict the future using 9 window? No, we can design the future using 9 windows. Somebody asked the question, we can design your own future. You know what is the designing and difference between prediction? Prediction is you are predicting somebody's work and predicting with some 50-60% probability. That's all. But when you are able to design your future, you are controlling your future. You are controlling your environment. This is capable of helping you in designing your own future, your company's future, your nation's future, world's future. Like that, we can design.
Okay, okay, okay.
Last
Joseph,
question regarding
I
which is
think.
tough regarding technical contradiction and physical contradiction. I will rate technical contradiction easier to with the contradiction matrix. It's available anywhere in the website. Is available. Lot of literature is available. So physical contradiction is more challenging. Very easy to understand, but more challenging to apply. The physical contradiction can be addressed with time, phase, condition, and system to subsystem feature.
Joseph, we discussed this, and I think we are already shooting up on time. So I think we can take this conversation offline. And we already shoot up the time, and we already discussed this, how to solve problems using physical contradictions and what are the difficulties using engineering contradictions. So that was already discussed. So probably let's thank Host for his participation for this particular TRIZ talks. And I think we got some good insights how he is practicing TRIZ in his country, in his projects. So I think let's be connected, and I'm sure some of you present over here will be speakers in our TRIZ talks going further. And by this, we'll just like to wind up the session over here. And just to inform you, next month is a month of Diwali. It's a festive season here in India. So we will not be having the TRIZ talk schedule for the month of October, because the last week of October is the Diwali week. That's the holiday week over here. So we will not be having the TRIZ talks next month, but definitely in the month of November, we will be having TRIZ talks. And of course, there's our annual conference scheduled in the month of November, which is TRIZ for X. And the theme for the conference is TRIZ for VUCA, that is volatility, uncertainty, uh, complexity, and ambiguity. How does TRIZ help over there? So it's an interesting conference. So anybody wants to join over there, please reach out to me. Thank you, and have a wonderful day and day ahead, wherever you are.